Resuming debate, the honourable member for Surrey North.
Well done.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to speak to Bill C-42 on behalf of my constituents from Surrey North. As you know, Mr. Speaker, Surrey has the largest RCMP detachment in the country, and the men and women that work in my city, the RCMP members and the civilian members that work with them, do a wonderful job in City of Surrey. And not only that, we meet with them regularly. My office meets with them on a regular basis to deal with some of the local issues that come up in my constituency. I'm very thankful to them for providing that wonderful service to the citizens in Surrey. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it should be a priority of this House and of this government to restore public confidence in the RCMP. A functioning, effective RCMP that holds the public trust is critical to building safer communities across this country. On this side of the House, we support the stated intent of this bill, and we were hoping to make some amendments in the committee that would address some of our concerns. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on as to what happened at that site. In fact, I've stood in this House myself, time after time, called on this government to step up and deal with problems that years of Conservative mismanagement has caused in our national police force. The goals stated in the preamble of this bill, transparency, improving conduct, strengthening the review and complaints body, and dealing with the climate of sexual harassment that exists in the RCMP, those are all good goals. And we were hoping that we would make some amendments at the committee stage to improve and make them effective so that we can deal with the issues that the RCMP has been dealing for a number of years. We supported, for those reasons, at the second reading, this bill, because we thought we would actually get to address some of those real issues that are plaguing the RCMP in this country. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, every amendment the Conservatives with the NDP put forward in the committee to improve upon the very things that I've talked about, they were turned down without even a simple consideration. You think that if we maybe one amendment made sense to them. In fact, we've seen it in many other committees. I sit on the International Trade Committee, and then I've sat on other committees. I've sat on the Public Safety Committee before. Not one amendment from the opposition, of the thousands of amendments that have been brought forward in the committees, not one amendment has been accepted by the Conservative government. You think that out of the 1,000 ideas that we present, maybe one would fit their their model, ideology? No, Mr. Speaker. And it's very unfortunate that they have taken. This was an opportunity for the Conservatives to right the wrong of mismanagement of RCMP over the last 6-7 years, and this just didn't happen. The reputation and the respect that the RCMP has built over the years, and what's happened over the last 6 and 7 years, the Conservatives have totally mismanaged those issues. Some of the amendments, Mr. Speaker, that we put forward as the opposition was basically adding mandatory harassment training for RCMP members, specifically to the RCMP Act. Another amendment we wanted we brought forward was ensuring a fully independent civilian review body to investigate complaints against the RCMP. And Mr. Speaker, I know in my province of British Columbia, that has been an ongoing issue where the police investigates themselves, and I think Canadians deserved clarity on this, and the Conservatives had the opportunity to bring that in this particular bill to help Canadians to have RCMP accountable, transparent. Again, Mr. Speaker, I hate to use this word, but they missed the bus on this part of the amendment, Mr. Speaker. We wanted to add provisions to create a national civilian investigation body that would avoid police investigating police. We also wanted to create a more balanced human resources policy by removing some of the more draconian powers proposed for the RCMP Commissioner, and by strengthening the external review committee in cases involving possible dismissal from the force. Mr. Speaker, what did the Conservatives do? Again, they voted down every single one of those amendments. Those amendments would have provided some form of clarity, transparency to Canadians, yet the Conservatives chose not to accept any of those recommendations or committee amendments. The Conservatives government is standing by their argument that putting more power in the hands of the RCMP Commissioner to fire individual officers will curb ongoing issues in the RCMP, and that the RCMP Commissioner should have the final say on all dismissals, ignoring calls for more balance. Mr. Speaker, witness after witness, expert witness after expert witness explained that the legislation alone will not help to foster a more open and respectable workforce for all, and that concentration of power in the hands of Commissioner is part of the problem, not the solution, Mr. Speaker. We need to see an ongoing effort from the RCMP and the government to modernize RCMP, and this bill lacks the transparency and accountability necessary for that change. Basically, this bill does not go far enough, and then my colleagues from Wanda Fuca and a number of other NDP members have called upon the government to be more transparent, more accountable. They had this opportunity to make our force, the RCMP, our national police force, to be more accountable, more transparent. Yet, again, Mr. Speaker, they missed this opportunity. My colleagues have also talked about having a safe work environment for all, whether it's nationally, and we talk about in this bill about particular safe work environment for the men and women that work in our force. And clearly, the RCMP or the Conservatives have missed that opportunity. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that sexual harassment is not only a problem of merely discipline, it is endemic to the internal culture of the RCMP. The Conservatives' approach does not make women in the RCMP a priority, which is necessary if we want to deal substantially with this problem. My primary concern is that over and over we see this, this government attempt to gloss over the real issues within the RCMP and implement quick fixes instead of truly trying to fix and trying to take steps necessary to fix the force, Mr. Speaker. For the sake of those serving in the force, to restore public confidence in the RCMP, ultimately for the safety of our communities. Mr. Speaker, the scope of the problem of sexual harassment in the RCMP is massive. More than 200 women, both current and former RCMP officers, are seeking a class action suit against the RCMP on grounds of sexual harassment. And that does not include individual lawsuits that could be filed by them. My NDP colleagues and I have pushed with the Minister for months to prioritize the issue of sexual harassment in the RCMP. Unfortunately, Bill C-42 does not directly address systematic issues in the culture of the RCMP, and it is clear that this bill by itself will not change the current climate in the RCMP. Mr. Speaker, I know my time is very limited. I have a lot to speak about on this particular issue, but I do want to, in summary, say a few things here. The Conservative government had an opportunity to fix the RCMP, to address issues of sexual harassment, to address issues about transparency, accountability, and they have clearly not taken that advantage of this opportunity to do that, Mr. Speaker. I would like to stress that in my community of Surrey and in communities across country, crime and violence are a reality. A few weeks ago in the Lower Mainland, a known gang member was shot and killed in broad daylight. This kind of violence, Mr. Speaker, is unacceptable. But instead of investing in measures to prevent crime in our communities, by supporting the work of the RCMP, the Conservatives are making it harder to police to do their jobs. We have come to know that 42 RCMP office support staff in BC that have received notices stating that they could lose their jobs. Mr. Speaker, we need to be supporting the work of the RCMP, not making their jobs any harder. Now we see this government put forward a bill that seems to be finally acknowledging some of these problems, but it does not simply address the major issues that we need to address. In closing, Mr. Speaker, an effective RCMP is a matter of public safety, and real action is long time overdue. The Conservatives have failed the Canadians again, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments?